Today we are joined by Usman Sheikh from Faronics. He is from Faronics itself as well. He's the technical manager from Faronics side, and I'm Jan Visser from ITTree Solutions. Now we're going to look at endpoint control and asset intelligence within the Faronics environment. And the first thing that we will be checking out on is we're going to discuss different sections around the Faronics cloud interface itself. And one of the first things that we're actually looking at, specifically in any environment consists of many moving parts. Now, the first question that I have, maybe one of you guys can help me out. Do you know what a polygon is? Anyone? No? A polygon? It's a shape, yes, that's it. So for a polygon, and we will, there you go. For a polygon, it basically consists of many shapes or specific defines of shapes itself. But that's also very typical to our ICT environment, because you are sitting with not just workstations, you are sitting with your security in the backend, you're sitting with your network, you're sitting with your students, you're sitting with the software, the updates, and all of that starts adding to your environment at such a point that you actually need to control all of those little plates that you have that makes up your ICT environment. Now, the biggest issue around that is to keep track around all of those components, because you're sitting with your security layer that is evolved each and every time more and more, because you're sitting with security that's driven by AI, students that's introducing their own objects and own devices within the environment, and it basically makes it quite complex. Now, for that, this is where the Faronics Cloud is basically coming in. It's a cloud interface that actually consists of quite a few portions that makes up those tiles that you actually use within your environment. So there's a lot of bits within the cloud that you can actually activate, manage your environment, make it so much more easier to actually take control back with regards to students, with regards to your assets, software that needs to be updated, even to the point when you look at taking control of your security footprint that you basically have set out, and then also some of the compliances that you are running with. Now, before I move on to the cloud itself, can anyone mention a specific component or an additional component that's available in the cloud? An application or anything like that? Yes? Inside? Deep freeze. No, there's deep freeze as well. Okay, this is a little bit hard, I'm not going to throw that. Brilliant. Yeah, so inside is basically one of it, but the Faronics stack consists of a lot of components. There's a lot of them that you can activate. You can activate them specifically based on policies that you set out for a set of machines or an environment or a whole university for that matter. And you can enable them at any given time, move machines between different policies itself as well, and the list goes on. So we actually break it down to different layers as well that can be enabled, whereby you can have deep freeze operating in a certain fashion in one lab and different in another fashion. Updates that you push out to those machines can be updated in your stack differently for certain labs versus other labs itself as well. So you actually have full control with regards to how you want to manage your environment around that. So we can actually even define it a little bit further around some of the environments where people think previously Faronics is all about deep freeze, but no longer anymore. It actually consists of other parts as well, whereby your back office can actually be managed by, for instance, there is remote control that's now available within the cloud, meaning that you don't have to be on a network. You can provide remote support directly to the back office workstations without having RDP or some of those other tools that basically runs over unsecure lines. You don't have to even install that. You can run all of that within your cloud interface. So one of the latest additions, and Usman's going to talk a little bit more about that, that has now been added to the stack is the Insight environment. But keep in mind, with regards to the cloud stack, it's an ever-evolving environment whereby different features are enhanced, are actually expanded as well, and new features are constantly added to it, which means is that as the stack grows, your environment actually can grow with regards to that as well. Vishwan?
Okay. Thank you, Yanni. Good afternoon, everyone. So we're just going to go over one of the new service or the module that we have in Faronics Cloud. So as you can see, we have Faronics Insight, which is now part of the Cloud Bundle. Now, some of you might be aware of Faronics Insight as you might be using in the universities, and some might not be aware. So Insight is the Faronics product for classroom management. So you've got a classroom full of students, they have computers there, and they're doing certain things on those computers. And as a teacher, you'd like to know what the students are doing. So you can have, you can monitor the students, you can share content with the students, you can share information with the students. So Insight was primarily available as an on-premise product, which means the classrooms had to be within the same network. But with the cloud version, you can expand the classrooms beyond the school environment, beyond the network. So if the student is in a particular location, so if you're running hybrid classrooms, if you're running classrooms which are decentralized, the cloud version of Insight will allow you to do that. So as we can see on the screen, there are so many new features that are available that you can take advantage from the cloud console. So you can see what the students are doing. That's the number one part. You can share content with students. You can use the chat feature for sending chat messages, or even use the audio feature for talking with students. You can support the students directly. So you can remote into their machine if they're having a technical problem. You can remote into their machine and you can support them. So that's mainly for the teacher side, but as ICT administrators, managers, and technicians, you can even have a centralized approach for all the classrooms. So you can centrally manage your classrooms, your structures. You can have less local interfaces or infrastructure. So you don't need a separate machine for running a server or something. You can have everything over the cloud. And then you can make sure your settings, your configurations, all of that remains in sync with the cloud settings. So having Insight in the cloud really adds a lot of value. You can manage your classrooms from the web browser, and the teachers can manage the students from any location. So that's one of the nicest features that's now available in cloud. We can kind of go over more in details around it. But before we move forward, I'm just going to pass on the mic to Yanni. He's going to continue with what else we have in the cloud solution.
So one of the other features within the cloud is basically called usage stats, also known as asset management. Now, this is basically where smart asset management basically comes in. For a university, and if you look at the current solutions within the university at play for asset management, means that you need to physically move to each and every workstation to verify that the workstation is there. Now, it's practical if you're sitting with 10 or 20 machines, but when you hit that 1,000 marks and all that, it's becoming unpractical. It's very difficult. Now, what's making it even more difficult is that if you see the box there, doesn't mean that the asset is still functional, or the asset has not changed. If you take it a step further and you're looking at software that's installed on the machine, that makes it also very difficult, because how do you control and know what software is installed on that box at any given time? Now, this is where usage stats basically comes in. It gives you a practical, quick, on-the-fly view to see exactly what's in the environment. It gives you a drill-down list of all the workstations with their hardware components. And remember, it picks it up automatically. You don't have to do anything. To get asset or usage stats enabled pretty much requires only a tick, and it's enabled in that environment. It starts tracking down your workstations, defining exactly when last did they report in. So if you have, let's say, 2,000 machines, and you drill down your list and you say, right, I have 2,000 machines, but 10 of them have not reported in the last, let's say, month. Why is that the case? Is it hardware failure? Because if they count the box, it's there, but it's broken. then you take it also with regards to your software. If you need to pull a list of all software utilized within the environment, it automatically picks it up for you. It actually even takes it a step further, and it will go in and say, right, you have that software installed. Who's using the software? Looking at software utilization for 3 months or 6 months. Now, it's one thing to say, right, we are sitting with, and that's the biggest problem with the universities, we're sitting with 60, 70, 80 different software applications within the environment. Who's using them? You need the stats to actually say, right, if I calculate now, looked at the last 6 months or last year, and I say, right, the following software is not used at all, we can take it off. But you need that information. And the moment software gets added, usage stats picks it up. Same with hardware. The moment hardware and all that, or workstations are added, it picks it up. Workstation changes, you export it into an Excel or any reporting feature that you want to use, and you can actually then drill down and see, right, I have a specific spec of machines. All the machines are equipped with arguments like 16 gig of memory. Now, one of them is sitting with 8. It means there was a change. Why was there a change on that specific machine? So you can actually now, in real time, start tracking and see exactly what's happening. You're getting that call on a Friday afternoon, and the call comes from upstairs asking, provide us with a list of all our workstations, the warranties on the workstations, what's active, what's not active, and all that. You can pull that list. It'll take you less than a minute because it's constantly available, it's constantly there. And you can also go into detail as to exactly what is missing, what machines haven't reported back, what software is active, and even start tracking licensing on that software as well. Utilization, overutilization, when you get those audits around specific software vendors coming in to say, right, you have X amount of licenses. Is it correctly deployed or are you over deployed? You can now see where's the leaks on those machines, which machines are still sitting with software they shouldn't have. Okay, one of the other applications I'm going to pass on to Ushman is, of course, also Software Updater.
Right, thanks again. So, the next slide, we're going to talk about Software Updater. But before we dive into Software Updater, just a quick recap of why Software Updater and what value it adds. So let's take a step back and understand the whole cloud concept. We have defreeze, and everything else revolves around defreeze. Defreeze is like, all the universities, again, they use defreeze actively. Now, defreeze is a reboot to restore solution. If you have defreeze on a computer, you install anything, you make any changes, all the unwanted changes go away. Now, that includes Chrome updates, it includes Edge, it includes other applications as well. So in order to solve that problem, we built Software Updater. And when we started originally, it had a certain amount of applications. It had around 105 applications when we started. But now, with the new version of Software Updater, we have around 6,000 plus applications, and the list is constantly growing. Now, what that means is, with the 6,000 applications, you can instantly deploy those applications without having to create a package. No matter which application, endpoint management solution you're using, you might have run into the problems where you have to go and create a package for an application and then push it down. But with Software Updater, the list, it includes 6,000 applications, and all you have to do is pick and choose which applications you want to install, and then it will get installed. And all these applications that can be pushed out, they work with defreeze maintenance as well. So you can plan it in advance, you can make sure defreeze gets disabled, and then these applications get installed. So that's the new feature in the product, where you can have this massive list of applications which you can manage, you can install, push across all the computers. So yeah, if you need more information around Software Updater and the extensive list, feel free to reach out to us. And in addition to that, just before I wrap up, in addition to the 6,000 application list, we also provide the ability to add your own packages. So in case if you see the list and you think that, okay, it's got a good list, but there are some applications which we use in the university and those applications are not part of the list, how do we proceed in that case? So we have the ability to add your own custom packages, which you can again make it part of the maintenance period. So that's the other update for Software Updater. I'll pass it back to Yanni.
Right. So looking at the typical path for an upgrade on the DFreeze. Many of the universities are sitting with DFreeze on-premise. Some of them have already moved over to the cloud. There is an upgrade path that we also assist with regards to the migration, including the licensing and looking at the License Act and how it basically is applied within the university. We're also looking at upgrading to cloud. Now, cloud consists of a lot of moving parts, a lot of options itself as well. And typically, you will start with your DFreeze migrations as well as your usage stats. And if you eventually want to go, like one of the components is also imaging that you can actually apply. There is a path to actually move towards imaging. Now, just a quick step back around what Usman has said. Can anyone tell me how many applications are now covered in Software Updater? How many can we? 6,000. Brilliant. Yes, 6,000. And it's continuously growing itself as well. Now, that is basically the thing around the cloud itself as well. It's making it extremely powerful. As things are added, you automatically get the advantage of that. Your design around how you want to actually deploy it within your environment also becomes much more effective and much more focused around the specific needs within that environment. So there's not a case of this is how the solution works, and it basically your environment needs to fit into the solution. It actually works the other way around. The solution fits around your environment. You define the whole complexity around how it needs to be deployed, the different applications that actually needs to also be installed within those environments, and also key areas around it. So just a quick check with regards to operating systems. Can anyone mention what operating system, except Windows, is covered by the cloud? Yes. Yeah, well, you already have a bear. I can't give you another one. Anyone else?
Linux.
Hey?
Linux.
Unix?
Linux.
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 We have Linux. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so there is options around Linux itself as well. Mac is also covered. Windows, the legacy Windows is also covered itself as well. But specifically around Mac machines itself, software deployment is available as well. One of the other key components around it, and if we're looking at the cloud interface, is also MDM, or your mobile device management. That's also available in there, which means is that from a phone, tablet perspective, from all that, all of those are also covered. Android is also covered in there, meaning that when it comes to software, and just stepping back on the Software Update itself as well with your cloud deployment, remember, when you deploy an application, it's not about having that application in there. That's brilliant. But 6 months down the line, you need to start doing version control around it. There's specific versions that you need. So how do you know what version is deployed in those specific environments? And this is where your reporting in your cloud is actually becoming quite effective. Defining what versions are there, what software is basically installed. Uninstalling software that should not be there. You're now sitting with that ability as well and say, right, these are the machines, that specific application should not be there, and you install it, basically uninstall it right from the cloud itself as well. So it basically gives you, coming back to the Polygon and the whole effect around Polygon, this is where it basically becomes extremely effective. You have multiple layers that you actually sit with, that you can actually manage and control within a single interface itself as well. Okay, and then lastly, with regards to the cloud stack itself, do set up sessions with us if you guys want to know more, if you want to understand how you can take if you're sitting with DFreeze Enterprise on-premise and you want to move to cloud, we'll basically give you also the view around and the plan around migrating that to the cloud interface, having all of those abilities migrated to cloud, and in any other questions that you might have, or even demos that you would like to see with regards to usage stats, with regards to asset management, and also deployment of software, right through to the imaging solution of it. Okay. That basically sums up the whole presentation around the Faronics Cloud. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see forth to having those in-person sessions with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.